Welcome back to The Record. And Wyoming Congresswoman Harriet Hageman is with us. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Greta. It's great to be here.
I want to talk a little bit about the committee that you're on, the House Judiciary Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government. And you're a new member of Congress. And tell me, what are sort of your thoughts, your plans with this committee? What are you going to do with it?
Well, I think over the last couple of years, we've seen some pretty disturbing trends in terms of what the federal government has been doing. We know from the Twitter files, their efforts to suppress the First Amendment rights of American citizens has been pretty incredible. And so we've now held 2 hearings about the First Amendment. The first one, we had folks like Tulsi Gabbard and Senators Johnson and Grassley talk about how the FBI targeted them to prevent them from being able to investigate and disclose Hunter Biden's laptop. We also have had Jonathan Turley, and then a couple of weeks ago, we brought in 2 journalists to talk about the Twitter files. So one of the issues that we're focusing on is the violation of the First Amendment right of American citizens. Well, and actually all of us, because we not only have a First Amendment right to speak, we also have a First Amendment right to hear. And then I think some of the other issues we will be addressing will be surveillance. I think that we're living in a surveillance state right now, and the FBI has been taking on that role with gusto, it seems. And so, again, I think that this is an opportunity for us to expose what's going on with the federal government and making sure that we are not allowing these kinds of behaviors that you see in either third world countries, dictatorships, or communist countries. This is the way they behave. We don't behave this way in our country with our constitutional rights.
How do you convince half the country who thinks that it's sort of weaponization of Congress? I mean, how do you convince them that your mission isn't political? Because some of the people who probably support President Biden and his son are saying that that you're going after him or going after his family or after Hallie Biden for $25,000 or $35,000. I mean, how does the committee go about convincing the American people that this is not political payback?
Well, from the standpoint of the Biden family, what we have to understand is a couple of things. To what extent have they been taking money from foreign countries, and that is impacting our foreign policy, for example? I have to question why in the world Joe Biden will not crack down on China. The fentanyl issue as an example, the theft of our intellectual property is another example. Yet this administration is doing nothing to hold China accountable for the illegal acts and the activities that they are doing against the best interests of the United States of America. This isn't about going after his family. This is about exposing what Joe Biden was involved with, both as vice president as well as since then. So these are legitimate investigations. And as far as the other thing is, if the government can turn on conservatives, which is what we're seeing right now and what was exposed with the Twitter files, they can turn on anyone. The point is we have our rights as guaranteed by the Bill of Rights, by our Constitution, and we have the right to due process. We have the right to freedom of religion and freedom of speech. It doesn't just apply to conservatives. It applies to everyone. And everyone should be concerned when you have an all-powerful government targeting people because of their political beliefs.
Now, you and I both were trial lawyers at one time. Do you have any proof that President Biden in any way jeopardized national security, or is it just you're gathering evidence at this point? But is there any proof that he did anything?
We're gathering the evidence at this point. I would never prejudge something just for the very reason that you just said, which is that I'm a 34-year trial attorney. I want to gather the evidence. I want to look at it. I want to interview the witnesses, look at the documentation, look at the emails and that sort of thing. And then we can put together a better understanding of what actually has occurred here. But you really do have to question what is going on in Ukraine in light of the fact that Joe Biden, as vice president, bragged about the fact that he forced them to fire a prosecutor, or he was going to withhold federal U.S. aid if they didn't do his bidding. And then you look at the fact that Hunter Biden is really a pretty talentless person. He's admitted he doesn't have any knowledge about oil and gas development. He doesn't have any knowledge about these foreign policy issues that he was involved in. Yet he made millions and millions and millions of dollars while his father was vice president and since then. So you're talking about someone who doesn't really have much of a skill set other than making money off of foreign governments. And I think that we need to look at that.
Congresswoman Harriet Hageman, thank you very much. We'll be watching to see what this committee does over the next couple of years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greta.